Welcome to Dicejunkies. I'm Zeno Damus, and I'm here with
Q.
And we got on Skype,
Blood Axe.
and we're here to do our final for season 2 review on the Mandalorian. Since our last review, we've had episodes 7 and 8, or chapter 15 and 16, depending on how you're looking at it. And also, I guess since then, we've also had some sad news that we want to sort of tribute this episode to.
Jeremy Bullock.
Going to hand this off to the Blood Axe.
Yep, so it's interesting. My wife actually gave me this for Christmas. Can y'all see this on the video?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So it's actually autographed by Jeremy Bullock. She had bought it back in October, November. For those of you that don't know, Jeremy Bullock played original Boba Fett in The Empire Strikes Back and also in Return of the Jedi. He passed away on December 17th with complications from Parkinson's disease. So we want to definitely give a tribute to probably the most iconic support character or side character, however you want to classify Boba Fett in the series. He was by far my brother's favorite Star Wars character, always partial to Han Solo. But he had everything Boba Fett in his room. He had an authentic helmet that he paid $200 for whenever he was in his early 20s. But Boba Fett, he was the quintessential bounty hunter when you think of Star Wars, although there's quite a few bounty hunters out there. But it was his demeanor, it was his man of few words, but everyone feared and respected him. And we finally found out why when we watched The Mandalorian. But we definitely want to pay tribute to him. May he rest in peace. And we want to thank him for giving us one of the most iconic characters in Star Wars.
And I gotta say, me and Q, we met him at a couple of different cons, and I gotta say,
one of our first
Jeremy,
big celebrities we met.
Jeremy was one of the nicest guys you'd ever run into. Like every con we ran into him, he shook our hand. We'd talk about the weather. He wanted to just sit and talk.
And we'd chill out and hang out with him. Yeah. So, I would, Blood Axe. Zeno would disappear into the crowd eventually. Because you can't sit still, but
it was cool though. He was very nice.
Yo, man, his backpack has jets.
Ah,
He bounty hunts for Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah.
That's about as many lines I can say without owing MC Chris some money. Yeah. Like I had to literally skip the verse.
Let's move into the review. So we had episode 7. I'm going to let Blood Axe do his little rundown that he does normally, because otherwise I won't remember what we're talking about. So Blood Axe.
I remember. I remember distinctly.
So chapter 15, which is episode 7 of season 2, is called The Believer. And it was actually done by Rick Famuyiwa, who also did some episodes in season 1. I think he did the one with the Jawas, which was chapter 2, if I remember correctly, with the really cool train high sequence, which is using the Sandcrawler. But he's kind of a newcomer to the big blockbuster series type of directing episodes, but he did a real good job with this one. So for this one, we actually get to see Mayfield, which
Bill Burr.
Yeah, Bill Burr playing Mayfield. And we get to see a really different side to this character, which in the first season, chapter 6, when the prisoner, he was kind of a little punk and really came off as, a greaseball. But in this one, actually, it kind of changed my opinion of the character. I actually kind of started to like Mayfield.
I feel like they actually gave Bill Burr a lot more leeway on this one, because he felt more natural.
Yeah.
In this episode,
I think they realized that with some of these comedians, you got to sit back, these performers, and you got to say, here's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But go. Don't try to put words in their mouth, because you can tell the difference between his dialogue and, they told him word for word what to say. So
I really liked him in this episode.
I just had to throw that in, though, because it really was a better performance.
Mm-hmm.
So in this episode, they're trying to raid the Imperial facility in order to get access to a terminal so they can find Moff Gideon. And with Mayfeld being ex-Imperial, they broke him out of, Cara Dune broke him out of prison, which was actually kind of cool to see the TIE fighter yard basically being salvaged for parts. But it's actually was really kind of an action-packed episode because as they hijacked one of the juggernauts, which was transporting rudidium, very volatile, high explosives, you actually had pirates who were blowing them up. And throughout the whole sequence, you actually saw or heard explosions in the distance. And so it comes with one pirate ship, and then you start seeing multiples, and all throwing thermal detonators. So it's actually really, really intense. Very, very fun. So it's definitely in the same vein that we saw in Chapter 2 with the Mandalorian trying to raid the Jawa Sandcrawler. Fast forward, you actually able to get into the facility, and Mayfeld is reluctant to go to the terminal because one of his ex COs was actually in the room. And this is where we get into a problem that I have with this episode is the Mandalorian took off his helmet in order to scan his face to get into the terminal. And there's a whole 10-minute sequence where he's helmetless with Mayfeld and the officers, and it really kind of rubs me the wrong way. I think Pedro Pascal probably ended up getting his way, so to speak, be able to show his face more. And this kind of lost it for me a little bit because I lost a lot of respect for the character. It also leads me to believe that he's probably leaning towards joining Bo-Katan possibly for season 3 because he's actually becoming more comfortable taking off his helmet. But they're able to actually acquire the information they need, and with a very, say touchy, but it was definitely very abrasive conversation with Mayfeld and his old CO, discussing the situation that they had on, was it Project Orange? I can't remember the actual fight, but there was a big shootout and they're able to actually get away, which leads us to a situation with Cara Dune letting Mayfeld go, which I thought was really kind of cool because he risked a lot to help them get the information they needed. And it's funny, they said it's a shame that Mayfeld died in the explosion. He's like, really? He goes, I'm going to leave now. So you actually got to see some of the comedy aspects of Bill Burr.
It was well performed too, man.
Yeah.
I was dying. We were dying laughing because he's kind of like, you're not going to shoot me in the back, right? He's like so nervous.
Yeah. Actually, it was Operation Cinder, not Orange. I apologize. I got the operation incorrect.
Oh, you're fired.
Yeah, it was Operation Cinder. And so anyway, so in the end, we actually get to see that they get the information they need. And they end up sliding into chapter 16 in the next episode. But so what did you all think about chapter 15?
This was a great episode to me, man. We loved it.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I like to see, I like seeing Bill Burr actually get to really, act and perform and do a good job. I felt he was a bit restricted the last time, and since I like Bill Burr, I like to see him go out with a really good episode. Like he was able to really perform in this one. Similar to what you said about the mask thing, it bugged me a bit. Honestly, in hindsight, it bugs me more, and we'll talk about that with 16. But I gave him a pass on it because
I actually liked the episode. I felt that definitely. I was shocked he didn't put his helmet back on immediately after the scan. But after he got roped into sitting down, he wouldn't have been able to keep it on. So I said, okay. Like, I get, but I mean, they kind of, like you said, they stretched it out.
Yeah.
I felt like that they could have taken 10, 15 seconds off the scan sequence, and it would have made sense if he scanned his face, tried to immediately put his helmet back on, and then got approached before he could get it back on.
I also thought it was silly that he let it scan with his helmet on at first, because it's like, we just talked about it needing a face scan. Why?
I think that was to show his hesitation. I think they were trying to really push the hesitation.
It just came off as a little
moronic. That's why I think he should have tried to put it back on immediately and got stopped. Like, even if all it would have been was one line for the officer to go, helmets off in the, in this area. And it's like, and then he kind of unhappily has to kind of put it back under. But he was pretty comfortable with his helmet off, I felt. But, man, the scene with everything, I mean, the action sequence. Oh,
yeah, the action sequence after this was wonderful.
And the vehicle sequence, really well done. Like, all the action was incredible.
The vehicle sequence had me a little iffy. I mean, it was just like, you seemed like you did the worst possible method of blowing up these trucks. Like, these pirates were dumb. Because it wasn't taking a lot of bouncing for these. So why didn't you just throw the bombs at the truck to begin with?
Bombs, I think you could have threw rocks at these things and blown them up. It seemed easy.
One thing you could do is just plant them on the road.
Actually, I think they even said that. I think they implied there might have been mines or something on the road for some of the early vehicles to hit. But, I mean, for good action, we accept that.
Yeah, I'm not saying I didn't accept it. I was just saying it was a little bit of a stretch with
But here's the important part.
But the last action scene rocked.
Oh, God. Bill Burr kicking butt, But here's the cool part. They did my golden rule of what we really liked about the previous episode, which is the golden rule of you don't have to have people suck.
Oh, yeah.
And every character was awesome. Cara Dune was awesome. The sniper, what's her name? You Blood Axe? The sniper? The Asian?
Oh, it is, I just drew a blank.
All right. So Blank and Cara Dune were kicking a lot of tail.
Oh, yeah.
And then Bill Burr. I mean, I'm loving that the last few episodes, barring one scene in the next episode, we'll get into that, were really everybody was awesome.
Her name was Fennec Shand.
Okay.
Fennec, she was awesome. Fennec was badass. Cara Dune was badass. The Mandalorian, Bill Burr. Nobody sucked.
Yeah, everybody had a part in this episode, and they did their part well.
Yeah, they mostly for these last few episodes, man, is to obey the rule of we don't have to take away from the character.
Let's go ahead and, I guess, head towards 16. Anything else you want to say, Blood Axe, about 15 before we move on?
Yeah, there is. The one thing that really kind of makes me scratch my head a little bit is the fact that when he scanned his face, he's able to get in. If I were Imperial, I would think a facial scan would have to be on record to allow access to the information they were trying to get, which was location of Imperial ships. So the fact that he scanned his face, do you scan your face, and if you're not on the naughty list, do you get in immediately?
Yeah, well, that's basically.
He has higher access that we don't know about.
Oh,
yeah. This makes sense. You're forgetting the Empire. The individuals don't matter. There's no way they have a facial scan of all of their people, but they probably have a trigger database where it goes.
Well, and that's what Bill Burr said.
Like they said, yeah.
Bill Burr said you couldn't have your face on record for, blah.
Because that's why none of the other people could get in. But come on, dude. They kidnap people off the street. I doubt
it is sort of a weird reverse directory, but.
Well, I mean, but it matches the Imperials. Right. You don't really matter as an individual rule. Yeah. It really does. You think every stormtrooper's face? I mean, hell, they're clones, man. They were clones for a while. They probably don't have a record of each person. Because remember, they called out some numbers, and the officer's just like, yeah, sure, that sounds legit. He didn't check anything. He asked them their designation, and still, he didn't actually check it against anything whatsoever. He hasn't memorized anyone's designation. He was basically just waiting to see if somebody called out.
You had the format right.
Yeah. You got the number sequence correct. That's close enough.
Yeah, but the fact that he could get high-level information being a nobody, not on file, I think is a little odd. I would think basic information you could get with the facial scan, not on record.
I think that's the device, man. I think some of that's the device.
You would need to have some kind of clearance, kind of like what we have in our military today, where you have different types of classified clearance to be able to get more information. So that makes me wonder about how secure the Imperial database actually is.
I mean, how secure do you think the Imperial database?
Well, you would think it'd be better. in all honesty.
But, I mean, here's my thing. They did also have that device. I just assumed, because I played enough Cyberpunk or Shadowrun, that was a hack stick. And that, you know, that's why they probably had the facial scan also, because, you know, people probably haven't. Because he did have to plug in that device. Remember, he said, give me the device. I assumed that it wasn't just a memory chip. I'm assuming it had some. You know what? Don't ruin this for me. I like Bill Burr in this episode, so it's a hack stick. See, their Decker hacked in when they plugged it in remotely and used the Matrix to get the information and add his face to the database, and then Orcs.
They just couldn't get past the criminal scan.
Yeah, they couldn't get past the criminal scan. But they were able to put his
deeper
face.
level layer. All right.
Yeah.
All right, so we're off to
Black
chapter
Ice.
16, which is episode 8, which is the final episode, and this is probably my favorite episode of both seasons.
It's everyone's favorite episode.
Yeah,
in the world.
Rescue. So, so we're actually able to see a very interesting sequence where Bo-Katan is flying Imperial shuttle that's being attacked by the Slave One, and the fact that they completely ignored the docking commander's instructions not to fly into the launch bay of the TIE fighters, and we're still allowed to do so, just cracks me up. But they're able to actually crash land into the TIE fighter launch bay and just begin opening fire, which Moff Gideon does exactly what you would think he would do. He immediately understands that this is the Mandalorian coming to get Grogu.
He is one of the best black characters in Star Wars in a while, dude. He is competent, well acted, not a joke, not a black stereotype. He's not smooth jazz, scoundrel man, ladies man. No, he's just freaking awesome.
Juan Carlo Esposito has played this character type in several series. I don't know if you ever saw the series Revolution. But he played a very similar character that if you ever watch interviews with him in real life, he's laughing, he's pleasant, but in TV series, oh my God, he can play the person that you love to hate. I mean, he really does a really good job.
Oh no, as soon as he showed up on the screen the first time, like I recognized him, but I could not, he's one of those characters that shows up in so many things and he doesn't have usually super long bits, but I was like, oh no, I recognize this actor. I know I like this actor, but I can't put my thumb on what he's from. But I think with the Mandalorian from now on, when I see that character, he will be, Moff Gideon.
And it was cool, I got to say this before you start up again. He is one of the first times I've seen in a long time, even in my favorite Star Wars movies, he's one of the first commanders that seems dangerous. Like, he radiates a menace that they don't always capture. The Empire kind of comes off as chuckle.
He didn't
fucks.
come off cheesy or corny or anything like that.
And they don't always come off as competent, but he comes off as, this is the kind of guy you think helped build the flipping Empire into what it was. This is that guy that, hey, this Grand Moff or whatever, he's not to be taken lightly. I love the character. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Blood Axe. I just had to throw that in that I really enjoyed the bad guy. I think Moff Gideon was an excellent antagonist.
Yeah, he always has done a good job, especially in these types of roles. But anyway, so once they're actually able to get on board, there's a pretty good shootout with Cara Dune. And even when she jams her rifle, she just kicks the crap out of people with the butt of it.
And Fennec, she was kicking a lot of tail.
But and Fennec Shan's. But what I really liked was how the Mandalorians used their jetpacks in order to flank the stormtroopers and be able to get to the what you call it, I'm drawing another blank again, the bridge of the ship.
Yeah, with no rails.
With no rails, of course. They can afford rails, so they can afford to build 2 Death Stars.
I believe the reason there's even jetpack stormtroopers is they refuse to work on these damn ships without a jetpack because you don't have one. You can fall. When he first walked out of that room, I literally told Zeno, I said, dude, you can fall right into space. Shortly after that, somebody falls right into space, and I just looked at him and said, I knew that the shield wouldn't prevent you from falling through. But who builds a shield that lets you fall through it into space?
It's a one-way shield, dude. I mean, so you can shoot out.
Why?
So you can shoot out.
You don't need to shoot out of a freaking shield at the bottom of the ship. It's designed to kill you. They're death traps. Like in one of the first early episodes when the guy goes, "This place still has no rails." Remember the little mechanic guy?
Yeah.
That was a good line. When he literally goes like, "They still have no rails." It's because and then Blood Axe doesn't know why they don't have your face in a database because they lose people all the time. You don't matter to the Empire. It's too expensive to put the extra metal to put a rail around there, but they're going to load your face in a database.
Blood Axe, continue, please.
So So there is a pretty good sequence where the Mandalorian gets to fight one of the Dark Troopers, which they were trying to prevent activation of, and they failed. And the Dark Troopers actually were extremely competent. And one of the interesting things that I glanced over, but I want to return back to, is Dr. Pershing said that the Empire perfected the Dark Trooper by removing the one flaw, which was the human flaw. So they're completely robotic. And you get to see a lot of that in this episode with the Dark Troopers. And the Mandalorian has his hands full with just one of them, which he's able to finally use the Beskar spirit to take him down. And once he's able to actually get to the holding cell where Grogu is, we see, of course, Moff Gideon holding on the Darksaber over Grogu in a threatening manner. And in Juan Carlo Esposito style, he actually does a good job of selling the Mandalorian on a bluff. He basically tells everyone, we got what we needed. You can take him and go, and I go my way, you go your way, and we're all cool. And the Mandalorian says, okay. And, of course, it's obviously a ploy in which he's attacked by Moff Gideon. And we see a pretty good duel with the spear and the Darksaber. Fast forward through some good fighting sequences. The Mandalorian defeats Moff Gideon, brings him back in cuffs. And this is where I have another issue with the canon, because apparently, according to this scene, Moff Gideon states that the Mandalorian beat him in battle, therefore he owns the Darksaber. And Bo-Katan, who wants the Darksaber, has to defeat the Mandalorian to retrieve it back. If you go back in the Star Wars history, of course, it was the animated series. The Darksaber was given by Sabine Wren to Bo-Katan freely. There was no battle. There was no fight to acquire the blade. So they're changing the lore as far as proper ownership, and that kind of doesn't sit well with me. But in the end, it leads up to the second most epic scene in Star Wars history. I still think Rogue One has the top one, but we see an X-wing flying in, and I start bouncing up and down, getting giddy, and my wife's like,
Tell him I was I was on my feet. I was on my feet, and I go, "Who do we know that has an X-wing?" And I was yelling.
I said, "It's Red 5." She goes, "Red 5?" I'm like, "It's Red 5." And she goes, "Huh?" I said, "Red 5 standing by." And she's like, I said, "Luke Skywalker." I said, "That's his designation for his X-wing." And we see a cloaked figure with a green saber, which we remember him having a green saber in the
Black Glove.
Return of the Jedi. And he just wails through all these Dark Troopers. I mean, he cuts them all to pieces. We see some great force powers where he crushes one completely with just pure force will. And in the end...
This is Jedi porn, man. This is Jedi porn. It is.
Porn for sure. And when he gets through, he decloaks, and it's Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker.
Well, it's, deep fake Mark Hamill, but they did a good job.
Yeah, it's. I think this is also a setup for another Disney Plus series that Sebastian Stan is supposed to be playing Mark Hamill's character, Luke Skywalker, in a series. Allegedly, it's rumor. So again, grain of salt situation here. But we do get to see Luke Skywalker, and I really think that he has been given some vindication for what happened to his demasculation in The Last Jedi, which still, for hardcore Star Wars fans, doesn't care for it all. But it's the Star Wars that we have, not the Star Wars we could have had.
They're fixing it.
But this year shows exactly what he would have been like 6 years post Return of the Jedi. He's force powers have grown. He's now a Jedi Knight, a true Jedi Knight, and he was able to actually hunt down Grogu through the Force. And again, another situation that just doesn't sit well with me. The Mandalorian removes his helmet again to be able to say goodbye to Grogu, which is touching, and it did make me kind of tear up a little bit because it was very emotional. But again, you can see more and more of his releasing of the creed that he has abided for so long, which is why I think that he's going to be joining Bo-Katan's group and going back to try to take back Mandalore.
That's our theory too.
Yeah, and this is where me and Q had talked about when I mentioned earlier why that scene bothered me more with him taking his helmet off.
Because it takes away from
this moment, if you would have held off from him taking the helmet off throughout the show, and he takes it off here, it would make this scene so much more emotional. It would make it actually, where you'd forgive him for taking his helmet off.
If you took out the first season and the last episode's helmet removed, this would have been
I may have teared up.
Ultimate moment. But they literally did it last episode, which really is the other problem. They didn't even give you an episode to cool down off of the last helmet reveal. But I was too hype on the Luke to get too upset. But we did comment though immediately. We said this moment would bear a lot more weight if this was the first and only helmet removed. You know what I'm saying? If this was the cherry pop for the helmet removed, this would have been comparable to the Luke moment.
It would have been emotional.
It would have been comparable to the Luke moment. It would be a literal battle for the penultimate moment. But it loses to the Luke moment because we've seen his face. This is the third time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I do believe that this does lead into the Bo-Katan series. I think this is him leaving the Night Watch or whatever it's called, the Watch. I believe that this is his now, especially because they got to resolve the Darksaber thing, which, by the way, is totally not resolved. He keeps trying to give it to her. She keeps saying she can't. Moff Gideon keeps wanking to how well he tricked everybody. He's like, gotcha. Because you said that he was a bluff. I don't think it was. I think Moff Gideon knew that Bo-Katan was going to kill him if he didn't get rid of the Darksaber. I think it was part of the ploy because his reaction is like, oh, crap, I'm still alive. Good. It's even better. Now I get to see what happens. But I think he knew he was screwed because he implies you can't surrender the Darksaber, which is weird because Bo-Katan said she just needed him to surrender to her. So there is some conflicts because Bo-Katan, what's her name? The Cara Dune wants him alive. Bo-Katan says, as long as he surrenders to me. But then he goes, oh, no, it's got to be a battle to the death is what Moff Gideon says.
No, he didn't say to the death. He said it had to be an actual battle.
It has to be one in battle.
It has to be one in actual battle, okay.
Bo-Katan, who this actress played the same character in Rebels, where it was gifted to her. So it has been gifted without battle in the past. So
it's even a deal they made. It's a deal. It's not even he said, I'll get you, you could have the Darksaber. I'll get you the Darksaber if I get the kid. That was a literal deal they made. So I'm like, come on, man. The Mandalorian code also has your word. And if you said, I'm going to deliver you this item, you should be allowed to deliver that item. You know what I'm saying? You should be able to go, hey, this is the deal. I got the kid. You got the saber. We're done. And the ship.
Yeah. And there's nothing that says they can't fight and he basically lose on purpose.
Well, they seem to act like that could happen because my first thought is, he even said, I concede. I'm thinking oh, no. Oh, you've overwhelmed me with your estrogen intimidation here. His hands are to say no.
Well, while we're here focusing on the end, let's I guess run back through how we thought of the episode as a whole.
Yeah, he did leave out the entire first part of the episode.
Yeah, he did, and I can understand, trying to forget that part.
The cantina scene.
The cantina.
Oh, that makes no sense to me anyway.
Yeah, well,
that's why. Yeah,
strong feelings about it. So I'm gonna let Q go through that piece.
Okay, let me tell you something. I'm allowed to do this because y'all can't. Y'all white. Okay, look here, goddammit. You don't let no sidekick ass, no name. And I checked with Blood Axe. I tried to be fair. I said, Blood Axe, is this other Mandalorian with Cara Dune somebody in particular? And Blood Axe is like, I don't know her. I didn't see her in the show. She's not a named, well-historied character. How the hell are you going to let her toss around Boba Fett?
Well, Boba Fett, who already showed up, the Mando,
Well, he's also, Boba Fett is a badass. He's the most feared bounty hunter. And a sidekick manages to, put him at a disadvantage, even though they break even. Even me and Zeno had to say, it looked like he was not winning that fight. And what's worse, this is while they lampshade it by going, oh, look at the little sidekick, talking crap. And I'm like, look, man, And what's worse is not even like they gave her lines or tried to build her up as anything other than just the fucking. She's Token from South Park. Like she's the obligatory. Look, we threw in another black character. What's her name? I don't know. Did they even give a name to her? They don't say it out loud. They literally just she's Bo-Katan's sidekick.
Bo-Katan Goonie 1.
or God knows if or possibly her side piece. Who knows?
Yeah.
But the point is that she should not be beating named characters in the series or fighting standstill. What it should have been is she should have started with Boba Fett. The fight gets broken up, but Boba Fett puts her to disadvantage, and somebody pops a line of even Bo-Katan goes, "Oh, okay, I see why you're the most feared body." Or if you wanted to have somebody fight him to a standstill and give him a good fight, it should have just been Bo-Katan, who honestly I'd expect to give him a hell of a fight. She's a real Mandalorian. They call her the princess. Like, he calls her princess. She's a high-tier Mandalorian. If she fought a aged Boba Fett to a standstill or even had the advantage, I'd accept that. But no, random black chick just goes, "Hey, look at me. Look at me. I'm a jetpack DDT Boba Fett." Because it felt really weird. It put a bad taste in her mouth for a while.
I liked Boba Fett coming in with a clean suit of armor here, though, which I think he came in actually.
Yeah, he
in
actually
the previous
clearly
episode,
modified it and patched it up. It looked a lot better.
But you got a good shot of him in his clean.
It looks like he fitted it a little better. Like he went in and kind of went like, all right, let me get this redone. I like that. I thought that was cool. It makes sense though. I mean, he's hanging out with a Mandalorian.
He's looking good there. He's looking good. Like he's got a nice suit on.
Like I said, well, he's got to look good for the new series.
Yeah.
You also got to make sure, See, now you got damaged. Also, that's two toys. That's two toys, too.
We have to talk about that at the end, because
there's battle-damaged Boba Fett, and there's new armor Boba Fett. Two toys.
Yeah, two
boy,
toys.
This is Disney, boy. This is Disney. They know what they're doing. There's two Boba Fett toys now.
Yeah, actually, my wife sent me a meme where it had Slave One flying over the Home Depot, and Phoenix Chan was like, "Where you going?" He goes, "You make a quick stop." So you actually see the armor gets to be repainted. So yeah, that was actually pretty cool. I was wondering why no one actually touched up any of the damage that were done to their armor or their vessels. So it was actually kind of cool to see Boba Fett taking care of the armor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But as the episode continued, I gotta say, I did like the crew. Like from this point on, everybody was competent again.
Yes,
everybody
had
their
to
part.
do that little moment. By the way, you want to know how much this chick is like? Let me start it. I can rant about her all.
I mean, everybody was competent again. Like you said, the bridge scene was really fun. With using the jetpacks as a way to get behind them and flank them.
By the way, she doesn't have another line in the whole damn episode. I'm sorry, but this is how much a sidekick she is. She don't talk here.
All right, we're past this now, man. We're past this.
She pushed a button.
She pushed a button. She has no dialogue. She's a literal token. You can replace this with the NPC random, a non-phase.
All right, so we do all that. We get some good scenes after this. We get a good fight with where you see Mando having a lot of trouble with that
Dark
Trooper. Of course, as soon as they got jettisoned, Q, he called it. He was
said,
like,
"Can't they just fly back to the
back, right?"
And immediately I said, "They're gonna fly back." No, he says, "Well, how well programmed are we?" I said, "Well, a programmed are they? Would they know to do that?"
Yeah.
Then when they came back, I turned to him and said, "They're pretty well programmed."
Yeah. But I mean, it allowed them to get rid of him long enough for the Jedi to show up, and that was I thought that was really fun. I didn't think that the deep fake was done that well. Like, it was really badly digitized, in my opinion. Like, it hurt me watching the face. Like, he was able to ignore it because he was enjoying the
It was
scene.
so awesome. They could have hand drawn his face on. I wouldn't have cared at that point.
I was looking at it going, the problem is I've seen it done so much better. I've seen them do it better.
Well, the thing is, they probably didn't bring in Mark Hamill to do it. They probably fully did it without him. Because, I didn't hear anything about him filming this. Because when you've seen it done better, they tend to get the actor and they de-age. This wasn't just a de-aging. Yeah. This was like a full... dude, you saw the third movie, what they did with Leia. Oh, my God.
It was like Carrie Fisher as Princess Leia in Rogue One.
Oh, Rogue One.
But when you look, for everything that Captain Marvel is terrible, Samuel L. Jackson and as
Young Nick Fury.
Looked phenomenally de-aged. I know it's expensive, but I know that Mark Hamill sold his likeness to Disney, so they probably just used CGI to put his face on.
I just figured for such a short scene, you could have done a little better because it was pulling me out of the scene. So, other than that, though, really enjoyed the episode. Q, I'm gonna throw it over to you because I know I've sort of talked for a while. So
top tier episode, man. I mean, I put it like this: most watched episode of anything on Disney Plus. Brought in, I think somebody quoted, I don't know if this is accurate, but quoted like 20% more subscriptions, huge numbers, the best product they put out. This thing made Disney Plus. This made the Star Wars series.
Well, I think you actually mentioned it also sold merchandise, which is something
yes. It's the Mandalorian is selling merchandise.
Yeah.
But guess what? You're telling me the new Luke? You're telling me you don't think that Luke? Yeah, no. And the new Luke, now they're going to have that Luke toy. They're going to have armorless Boba Fett, damaged Boba Fett, armored Boba Fett. They're going to have Fennec with helmet, Fennec without helmet,
well,
Fennec with a bottle of liquor.
They should. We don't know
for the
sure.
after Stinger, Fennec with a bottle of liquor.
Yeah,
well,
we'll talk about the Stinger once we get finished with the episode.
The best way to put it, and this is gonna don't tear up, Blood Axe, because I'm gonna say it, man. This was the most Star Wars thing I've seen probably since the original 3. And I'm not even joking when I say I'm feeling emotional. Like this is the first thing I'll call a sequel to the friggin' 3 movies I saw. This felt like this episode made me look at Favreau and go, you were sitting there too, weren't you? When I was sitting there watching this, you were somewhere. You were watching Star Wars. I never more than now felt that this man was a fan. The way he did, the effort, the choreography. I mean, like you said, the only thing was a deep fake. But other than that, it was one of the best scenes. It felt like somebody that wanted to do Luke right. It felt like a high budget fan made. Because, dude, I've seen some amazing fan stuff on YouTube for Star Wars. And it felt like that. The love, the care was incredible. I don't know what to say, man. This was Star Wars. I finally got to see more Star Wars. Finally, I felt like I saw Star Wars again. And I have no complaints.
Jon Favreau, he likes to pull things from the original trilogy and reuse that content or some of those threads and lines with The Mandalorian, whether it be going back to the holiday special, which is what his rifle is based upon with the tuning fork on the that can shock, all the way back to the cylinder where they actually had the minerals in Chapter 9. So he likes to reuse a lot of the old content because he likes to try to pull back those hardcore Star Wars fans that will get some of those references that maybe the casual fans won't get, and we appreciate what he's doing. The fact that he wanted to do right by Mark Hamill and actually make Luke Skywalker a total badass in an epic scene is really powerful. And I really think that he's actually on a launching point to be able to write his own check to do what he wants to do Star Wars-wise, because he is a true fan of the series. And he also doesn't mind getting information from George Lucas, who's been on set multiple times to assist with some of the content. But he also dives into the old legacy data. So I'm kind of curious what's going to happen next, because with the Mandalorian surrendering Grogu, Baby Yoda was a big draw for the Mandalorian. Well, now he's no longer in the picture. So what's going to happen with season 3 and 4, which are supposedly filming right now? I don't know if we're going to see more Grogu with another series. Is he going to be in season 3, season 4? So that will be very interesting to watch. Now, before I go to the last part, did y'all have any final thoughts on this episode or the series for this season?
I mean, my only thing is, I mean, you mentioned filming 3 and 4 right now, and I'm almost like with all the drama going on, like some rumors and other stuff, I'm almost wondering maybe they're not filming 3 or 4. That they may. I mean, you got the book Boba Fett coming up. You've got the Bo-Katan stuff coming up. I'm wondering if they just transition over to that. And of course, this does bring us into the Stinger, which gives us a date that you would expect to probably see season 3 of The Mandalorian.
It's going to be the Stinger. I have this theory. Either they're going to go straight to the Bo-Katan, or season 3 or 4 will be the build-up to the Bo-Katan, with Bo-Katan being highly prevalent. Because they got to resolve the Darksaber. He's going to have to get outed from the Watch. And when he gets out, and since he said he'll follow Bo-Katan after the child was safe, season 3 has to be Bo-Katan. It's the only thing he has left. He has no reason to go looking for the Watch. He's broke the code. So other than an episode to resolve the fact he broke the code, he said, you've got a place, and he said, okay, after we get the kid, he works for Bo-Katan now. I mean, basically, that to me is not even, other than resolving a few issues, season 3 is going to probably be 50% him and Bo-Katan.
Yeah.
Minimum 50% him and Bo-Katan. Season 4 will just be Bo-Katan, and he'll probably just, I don't even think they're going to do a season 4 of The Mandalorian. I think season 4 of The Mandalorian is just going to be the Bo-Katan series.
I mean, it wouldn't be the first, illusion or trick that Disney's pulled. They're filming 2 series of something to do with Star Wars, right? Mm-hmm. Side by side. May not necessarily be The Mandalorian.
Or maybe Bo-Katan is The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I'm thinking, is because I think with her quest to try to take back Mandalore, she will be Mandalore at some point. And for those of you that do watch the final series, make sure you watch through the credits, because there's a really, really cool post-credit scene with Boba Fett. And Bib Fortuna, God forbid, let himself go worse than I did.
Apparently, you've got to be this big to run Tatooine.
Yeah, no joke, right? So we actually get to see Boba Fett come in, slaughter everybody. And
we get to see Fennec go in and slaughter everybody.
Going back to Q's reference, as far as Fennec Shan with a bottle of liquor, she goes and gets some blue liquor and starts drinking next to the throne of Boba Fett. And we get to see the title of the series called the Book of Boba Fett, which is December 2021.
By the way, that's also going to be a toy.
I really think that season 3 will still launch in October, the way it has the past 2 seasons, and week to week, bumper to bumper up with the Book of Boba Fett. So we shall probably get about 16 straight weeks of really, really good Star Wars. Mm-hmm. That's my theory. So what do you guys think?
Well, I mean, you could be right. I mean, they could be doing the 3rd season of the Mando and Boba Fett side by side, because you probably use similar set pieces as well. So it actually makes sense. You could film both these series side by side. Plus, you can have crossovers and stuff like that.
Well, smart thing to do is launch a series is pepper and set it up. Mm-hmm. With other popular series. And the Mandalorian, I honestly believe Mandalorian season 3, much as I love this, just be ready. Mandalorian season 3 is going to be the pilot launcher. It's going to be launching pilots for other, and probably Boba Fett. I expect some more live action Boba Fett at least once. So they're going to use, the smart thing to do is they got that, because I'm sorry, this finale was so good. I actually looked at Zito and said, man, I'm happy if we're done here. This was so good, I'm done. I almost would rather go to the Bo-Katan series. I don't really want a season 3 of Mandalore. I'd rather go to the story, because I don't feel like they can possibly put a bow on this like they did right now.
Well, and they did a good job of concluding, what we started with. We started
and
with
everybody's seen it with the mask
what we're going to do with this kid, and we got to a conclusion of what we're going to do with this kid.
So to me, I'd rather the next season be him running with the other Mandalorians. I think it'd be fun.
I mean, season 2 was already a pilot starter to begin with. I mean, they threw in so many characters for so many different things they could spin off,
Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka, So I would like to see the next season be Bo-Katan. I mean, dude, they even made it obvious. As I pointed out to him, they got rid of the male Mandalorian that was running with Bo-Katan. He disappeared. Why? Because they only need one man. So it's going to be the Mandalorian. Because, hey, man, three's company, three's company, 4's a crowd, apparently. So they're going to have the trio. It is going to be Bo-Katan, the Mandalorian, and Token. And there we go.
Oh. All right. I mean, Blood Axe. You got anything to tie? Yeah. You got
Blood Axe can't name that Mandalorian.
You got anything to tie this up with a bow with? I've pretty much said everything I've got. I think that's Quinn.
I don't have any more razors on out. I've called her a Token as many times as I think I can get away with.
Blood Axe.
Does she have
I don't know why they didn't bring back the other guy. That was really kind of interesting.
I just told you.
And to go back to Q's. To go to Q's point, both the characters that she was running with was actually from the Clone War series. They're part of the Night Owls. The character's name is Casca Reeves, if you really want to know the name of her character. But she was in the series, but it wasn't anyone that was memorable, at least not to me anyway. But I am kind of curious to see what's going to happen with season 3, but I think it will be Din Djarin running around with Bo-Katan and Casca Reeves trying to take back Mandalore. But they probably should just call it the Bo-Katan series because, as far as I'm concerned, I agree with Q. The Mandalorian has wrapped up so well that they should just call it something different and just put those characters into another series. Because even Kathleen Kennedy had mentioned and a couple weeks ago that they're doing spin-off series with the intent of having a culmination of these characters coming together for a common cause. So with the Ahsoka Tano series, with the Mandalorian, I would be interested to see if there's a Cara Dune series with possibly in the future and having like an Avenger style come together for some kind of common cause, possibly.
I do have one.
Overall, I'm very pleased with what's going on, and I'm actually now watching The Gallery, which is the behind-the-scenes stuff. It's about 6 episodes, which they had for season 1, and I'm watching season 2. They release it weekly, just like they did The Mandalorian, to get more information as far as how things were developed and done. Some of the commentary with the directors and the actors is really interesting, and it actually gives you more in-depth knowledge as far as what was happening, going on, and where they got some of their inspiration.
I do have one question for you before we end this, and this is something that I think Quinn brought up, and that was with the Bo-Katan thing. You know, they mentioned Mandalore being glass.
Yeah, we pointed out that we're like, because I mean, Boba Fett.
So how are
looked at him
how are they taking back Mandalore if it's pretty much gone?
And terraforming has not been hugely pushed as a major technology in Star Wars. Plus, how do you even terraform a glassed planet?
Yeah.
So, just like with the whole thing with the Darksaber and some of the other canon, what has happened in the animated series, they may change for live action. I know when I was watching the Clone Wars and even Rebels. Yeah, Mandalore, there's not much left of it. I mean, it's pretty much destroyed, but they may retcon a lot of what happened with Mandalore, or they may have another planet that they're now calling Mandalore, but with the Darksaber, she should be the rightful Mandalore, will have the title of Mandalore, and those that are loyal to Mandalore would come to her aid in their fight.
So, but yeah,
that was
Vegeta.
that was our guess, was that it would be another planet, because I mean in the beginning of this last final episode when they were in the bar, that was one of the things Boba Fett had brought up, was that Mandalore was glass.
He looked at the Mandalorian and
so,
said, it's been glass, man. This chick's crazy.
So I mean they're definitely playing up that it's gone, it's destroyed. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do there. But
I mean they could build a station on it, but do you want to reclaim a place with no resources? That's almost more trouble than it's worth. You might as well at least get a planet with friggin' atmosphere, you know? Because remember, I pointed out that if it's been glass, there wouldn't be water. So that means Mandalore shouldn't even have an atmosphere.
All right. Well, we'll think about that. And I guess on that note, we'll end the show.
But, man, 16, y'all. Best ever. Best Star Wars I've seen in a really long time, man. Just the best.
I mean, I'm sure it wasn't planned, but I mean, as you know, Jeremy passed on that Thursday before this episode, so it was like a really good send off, you know, for a beloved character.
The end of 2 legendary Mandalorians, man, and both of them brought us great performances. cared about Star Wars, man. And that's almost why I said, just go and start the Bo-Katan arc. And this is not an insult. This is how good they did. I'm actually done with his arc. There's more. Plus, with how good he did this, I want Favreau to tell me another story. Like, I'm sitting here I'm sitting by the fireplace going, Uncle Favreau, can I get another Star Wars story? All right, well, let me tell you about Luke and what happened after he left. Like, I'm waiting for the next story.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We hope you enjoyed this review of The Mandalorian season finale, last 2 episodes. And, be sure to check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, all that good stuff. You can go to Dicejunkies.com to find links to everywhere we be found online. Of course, we do our live show every Sunday at 3:30 Central Time, so be sure to check that out. And if on YouTube, make sure to hit that notification bell so you get notifications whenever we put out a new episode. All right. Thanks for watching, and as every week, we hope you enjoy.
May the force be with you.